if, like, Tableau is really a way to combine data sources and represent them graphically, if I understand this correctly. I mean, the overall purpose of Tableau.
That's correct.
So if we have any multiple spreadsheets that are not necessarily this data, but that we're using for other purposes, could we, I mean, is it simple enough for us to create these files like we have on that we started with?
Yeah, that's why I spent time showing you how to use it. If you have some Excel spreadsheets, you could just simply, I mean, I'll be happy to walk you through one or two of them just to show you how to pull them in.
Okay, perfect.
But because that's why I spent so much time on the beginning, because Tableau, it's very intimidating at first. I mean, it's an extremely intimidating program because it's just not the same way you normally think of data in an Access data set or Excel or whatever. Tableau makes your interaction with the data much more, it makes you think about the data and the data presentation differently than just looking at the data and throwing out a table. Because there's a design element to it. So I think that's one of the things that makes Tableau so powerful, is not only that you can do the manipulations of the data, but you also can think about how you want to present that data.
And Cheryl, this is Michael from Arkansas. I can just add on to it. When I used to play with Tableau, I mean, I dumped like 6 years worth of safety data into it. And I mean, it's once you get into it and start manipulating the data, you can get down to the nitty-gritty real quick and really figure out trends or something. And it's, once you get into it and get the data set up correctly, it's real easy to use.
Yeah, that's what I was asking about, because you are like brilliant with this stuff, Michael. So I've met you. You've shown me what you can do, and I'm saying, yeah, I need more. I'm not anywhere close to that. So that's why I was like, how simple is it to set this up that I can mess with it?
Well, Cheryl, one of the things, if you look at this data set that we have, on the bottom there's a whole bunch of dashboards. Okay, let me explain to you. Basically, you have three things. You look at the very top ribbon, it says File, it says Data, it says Worksheet. A worksheet is a single page where we've been creating data. We've been creating data in a worksheet. A dashboard is combining a couple of sheets together into one visual. A story is where you actually put dashboards or worksheets together, and then you literally type something about that. So you can present it to somebody who says, this is data 1, this is what it means, this is data 2. You can add text and explain it. Right. Okay. And so, as Michael said, the value of Tableau is that once you get over the hurdle of understanding its flexibility, because it's very intimidating when everything is flexible. But once you start playing with it, and we're going to get to the FAF later on, you'll see that it's very powerful. That flexibility is its strength.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to add data sets to it. If you go back to the web, I'll go to Data Source, and I just do File. I'm going to do a new file. And it's going to open up. I'm going to connect to a new data source, and look at all these options that I have. I can import, I'm sorry, my screen went out. If I go back to Data, New Data Source under the Data ribbon, Excel, text files, Access. I've been trying to figure out how to do JSON files. You can even bring in static PDFs if you have a whole bunch of older table data. I have not played with that feature yet. And you can link it up to Tableau to a server, like for instance, say you use an Oracle data set, or you have some other data program that you use, and this is all.
Yeah, we have a lot of Oracle here.
Well, you can add Oracle right to it.
Okay.
So if you go, I click on Oracle, and if I have an Oracle data set, you get the server, I can integrate it, and I can put it right into Tableau.
Perfect. Thank you.
And by having Tableau, now this is a difference. Having Tableau Desktop lets me manipulate my data. Having Tableau Public or Tableau Reader, I can only interact with what has been released to me. I can't modify it. I can just look at it.
So I can't do any of the alias things if I only have Reader or Viewer, whatever that is?
But Missouri has desktop, so you have desktop, so you can do all the stuff.
I do, but I have several Missouri folks on the phone that do not.
Right. So they would have to. So that's the question that you have. This becomes an enterprise question. What enterprise data do you need to duplicate? How often and for who? And how often do they need to get that data?
I was just trying to figure out what they can do based on these data sources. Like, I've given them the data on these files you get shared with us this morning.
Right.
So we posted that to our shared site with the MPOs.
Now that file, all those files are very limited, Cheryl. Simply because I wanted to have files that could be accessible, that could run, all that type of stuff. Because if I put the FAF up there and try to explain the FAF, it's a 2 gig file.
Right.
It takes, you start setting up a query, it's going to take you 5 or 6 minutes just to build it, and that's not productive use of anybody's time.
But since I'll have access to the FAF, and at the end of today, I will know at least basics of how to do this.
You'll have access to the FAF, and you'll also have access to all the tables that I built to access the FAF data set as well. So not only I'm talking through some of the stuff that I'm doing here, I also have tables that are linked to all these data sets so that you can look at how I've approached the data.
Right.
And you may say, oh, I like this file, or I don't like this file, or this one's good, or this one's bad. And you can make it.
Okay.
So the thing for me is I was trying to get you to understand 2 things this morning. One, how to do the data connection and to understand the data. And then 2, to understand the basic idea of what I call a flow data set, which is commodity flow survey, the FAF, the core data set, the airline data, anything that has an origin and a destination. Because that's where a lot of the transportation data sets are going to focus on. So if you can understand that basic concept, then you can go to the FAF, then you can go to all these other data sets because they're going to have the same context upon which to do the analysis.
Yeah, and those are the ones that we're generally trying to use, like segueing back to what we were supposed to start here. Right. We now have the commodity flow sheet we've been building. Now we can go to those maps of the world or maps of the U.S., if I remember correctly.
Right.
And could display heat maps.
Correct.
Based on geography, which is a much more powerful visual for my legislators who are trying to figure out what's going on than any chart or table is.
Right.
Okay. So I'll segue us right back to where you wanted us.
So I'm going back to...
So how do I get to the same, show my screen to match yours so that I can follow along?
Okay. It's 1:30. What we're going to do is, for those people who deleted all of their, which I should have not have told you all to do, that's bad on my part, just go close this data set out, just do File, and just do Close.
Okay, for those of us who didn't follow your initial directions, do we need to do this?
No,
okay.
Just for the people who did. And then you're going to have your open button. You will see that core state to state, because it was the most recent file you opened, will be the one that is on the upper left-hand quadrant. So if you double-click on it, you will come to, you should see a chart. Just hit, I don't know, Laura. I'm trying to figure out why Laura's having a...
So you want to close out.
Looking for this file. Oh, we renamed it. There's this file right here. Why is it not like this file? Edit, connection. Do okay. And there, sees it. Join. I don't know why you're having... I'm going to copy it over. Where's the USB stick? Is there a USB? Hand me the USB drive over there. I think, Laura, you must have saved over it or something. Or
Unless you couldn't ruin anything.
no, if you saved over the Tableau file, then it would see it's got an update. I must have hit save somehow and wrote over the file, so it's
Maybe I did that.
well, it don't make any difference who did it. It's mute. You just got to make sure you get the right file over there. No, this is all. Just open it up from the. Oh, yeah. You can click happy. Steps. USACE State. I'm going to put it in. Okay. Okay, I made a mistake somehow, and so I'm having to redo Laura's, the ones on her machine. So, technical error on my part. Okay, so basically, everybody should have Tableau opened up, and I went back to the version before, Laura, so it should.
Okay, we should have all this.
Yeah, you should have all the tabs on the bottom. So what we're going to do is let's start. We're going to go to the upper part is going to say File, Data, Worksheet. dashboard, story, analysis, map, format, and we're going to go through these ribbons. Okay. Again, file, we talked through that. Open, close, I can save it. I can export it as a packaged workbook, which is what keeps all the files together, which I mentioned. Data is for joining data. Worksheet is these individual, like it says sheet 17. The worksheet is literally the sheet as a single graphic element that you're working on. So think of it as this way. A sheet is a single sheet of paper. And with that single sheet of paper, you have a lot of things you can modify. The headings, the summary, showing the cards. If you notice, I go down to the show cards. It's going to say I'm going to look at the columns, the rows, the pages, the filters, or the marks. You could use the show cards if you want to reduce some of those for space or for visual purposes. So, for instance, if I don't want to show, okay, that's fine. Just have them bring it up here. Okay. So if you do the show cards and you say I don't want to look at my filter shelf, well, it'll take it off.
What's a filter shelf?
This filter is in the second column. It's going to say pages, filters, or marks. And that's simply, again, the way to save screen space, for lack of a better word. So anyway, hang on for a second. Okay, for those of you, we're having a little bit of a beverage break here, but I'm going to keep talking through the program for y'all. So basically, the dashboard is, think of it as a number of worksheets, 2 or more worksheets brought together. So it'd be like taking a piece of paper and adding another piece of paper to it. Now you have 2 pieces of paper conveying information. A story is basically creating visual text in a sequential order so that somebody can follow along your analysis. So for most of what you're going to do, the worksheet is where you do the manipulations and the calculations. The dashboard is kind of a summary document. And the story is how you tell it to somebody who does not need to see all the underpinning data on the charts, but needs to be able to follow logically with what you're doing. And then analysis mostly works in the worksheet, but you can do aggregates, you can do percentage, you can do totals. We will be going through this in more detail later on. Map. Basically, if you want to put it, like for instance, Michael, you're in Arkansas and you don't like the Arkansas map that's here, you can put a map of Arkansas as the background when you're doing state stuff. And with that background, you can also have a background and put the Arkansas Highway Department logo or anything like that. So there's some flexibility even how you present the information. And of course, formatting is all about changing all the dimensions, changing the length of the line, the width. So format is, think of it as the way to customize the actual elements that you're seeing. We're not using server, Cheryl, when I get to it, I will publish the Missouri stuff online, and I'll send you that link.
Thank you.
And then the window, again, just shows me all the open things that I have. So, for instance, I'm sitting there going, oh, wait, where's this table and where's that table? I would go to Window, and it shows me all of my variables. And if you also notice, there's a presentation mode. So under Window, if I went to presentation mode, basically I could sit there and show these charts by just simply clicking and scrolling through them. And all I'm doing is just the arrow button. It's just similar to a PowerPoint presentation layout. So that's, again, useful if you're making a presentation somewhere and you have a couple of charts you want to use. You could just use this presentation mode. So basically, and help. The thing about Tableau, which I found actually to be the most helpful, is actually to watch the videos that they have posted online. And I also found that there's a lot of people in the Tableau community who have posted information. So there's a lot of ways that you can get information on Tableau. If, like for instance, you're having a problem doing a ranking or a coding or whatever, then it's very easy to do that. And I'd also recommend looking at the vises of the day to get design elements. So I can talk about all that later. But I just want to explain this ribbon bar because now I'm going to start talking through all the charts that I developed earlier for you so that you can understand the structure of how Tableau View works and kind of go through them. So we go to the first chart in the window. It says, we go down the window, it says Mississippi flows to and from the world. So I click on that workbook and I get a chart. And so when I mean the world, I mean everybody coming to and from Mississippi. So we have, again, remember earlier on I mentioned that this is a flow data set. So you have some flows that are coming into Mississippi, some flows that are going out of Mississippi. And so if you'd have just done Mississippi as the origin, you'd have only gotten half of the piece. If you'd have done Mississippi as a destination, you'd have gotten half the piece. But if you'd have added them together, you'd have gotten the intra-flows, which is Mississippi as both the origin and the destination. So you would have actually double counted the flows that were intrastate. That's why you have to make, on these certain data sets, especially on the FAP, you have to be very careful of how you handle the intra movements, or you can double count them very quickly by just not paying attention. So if you look at this list, the route directional, basically it's that calculated field that we did earlier. I'm going to the dimensions box in the far left-hand corner. I click on route directional. I'm going to look at edit the combined field, and basically it shows me, it's the origin state and the destination state, so I can understand all those linkages. I just simply created it by doing, again, I come back and look at the edit. I just simply added them together. I said I want all the states with this one and all the states with this one, and I created this with a 2 in front of it. And I don't see how you can. No. I was looking to see. I'm trying to see if you can see the calculation that I used here. Anyway, it's just basically the route directional is a SQL statement where you just simply add this field with another field. I'll just show you real quick. And you're going to create, let's see, you're going to create a combined field. And that's basically all you do is just simply add those two together. And you have a combined field that you can, if you look at the filter, it's all right there. Where it does not have the 2 in front of it, but you see all the pairs. Okay, so Laura, I'll just do it again. Basically, I take the destination state and the origin state.
You clicked on both.
I click on both, and I do create a combined field.
Okay.
And now it just has a comma between it. So,
do I need to do that?
No, I like having the 2 in front of it because it reminds me that it's a flow. But that's how I developed it, was by just adding those two together and putting 2 in it as a combined field.
That's how you developed what?
That's how I developed the route directional.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So again, we're looking at this route directional, and we have all these flows to from Mississippi. Now, if I wanted to, I can sort by Mississippi as the origin or Mississippi as the destination by simply going to destination. I go to the destination state name. I click the little icon that's the sort button, and it'll sort it. It's already sorted that way because it's sorted by origin state, because origin state is before destination state. So I can just simply change the field, and I can do the resort again. Actually, on this one's the problem. It tries to sort basically on what's on the furthest left.
Okay.
Okay.
So basically, it's where it's the furthest left is how you're going to get your sort.
Oops.
Yes?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought I was muted. I pushed a button and lost a field, but that undo button is fine.
Right. So basically, all I did to create this table was we're just going to come back to, in the lower, in the filter, it's going to say Worksheet, and we're going to do New Worksheet. So I click on New Worksheet, and I click on the Mississippi Flows just to cheat. I said, okay, I had destination here, so I grabbed destination as a row.
You said under filter? What are you doing?
No, I went to Worksheet, New Worksheet, added New Worksheet. And then what I did is I took Mississippi Flows from the world, and I'm going to duplicate this. So I just look at what files I have in what columns or rows, and I'm just going to drag them over to the next one. So I know I need to put tons in there, so I drop tons. Then I come back to here and say, okay, well I need to have year across the top. So I drag year to the columns. Okay, starting to look a little bit like the other one. And then I need to have route directional. So I put route directional, I put that here. Okay. And then I need to put a filter, so I come back to route directional. And I put route directional as a filter. And I only want to filter things that have Mississippi, so I just type in MS. So I'm actually going to do none. So actually none is hit cancel. Route directional, I drop it in the filters. I want none. Now I'm going to do a filter, I'm going to do MS. And I'm just going to, collect all the MS. Ones that have MS as an option in the wildcard box. And there, so it's all selected. I do apply. So now I just have, in the filter, I just have Mississippi elements in this chart. So then the next thing I did is I came to here and I said, okay, foreign domestic. That's okay. Over here. And I drag that as a filter. So both of them are here. And I want to show the filter. So now when I did the show the filter shows up all the way to the right. So if I want to filter just domestic, or take it out, or do total foreign, or do all, again, this gives me a little more flexibility. So as you're building the data set, you think, I may want to cut domestic flows, I may not want to cut domestic flows. And then the next element was origin state. So I go to origin state, and I drop it here. And now, again, pretty much the same data set. But if you notice here, these are shaded, these are not. Because if you look at the marks, the second column, the marks of the table, I actually added tons back to it to give me that shading. So I come back to here, I see where my tons in the marks box, it says T for text. So I take the sum of tons and I just drop it back into the color. And now I have my color thematic map. So basically I duplicated the same sheet. But if I was really lazy, and I like this Mississippi chart, I could just simply do the right click and go duplicate.
There you go.
And it duplicates the whole table. So if you like
in a new sheet,
in a new worksheet. So if you like the design of a table, but you don't feel like redoing everything in the table, you just do duplicate. And that way, it's a step that saves you some time. And
then
now,
you just change what you need to
then I just change what I need to change, and I don't have to do all the graphic layout stuff again.
Saves all your layouts. You just
That's right. That's exactly right. So we go to the next sheet, top commodity flows. Again, it was the same thing. I just drug route directional. I look at the filter, and you can see where the filter is all the stuff with Mississippi. And the way I do that is general is just everything, but the condition, if I wanted to, I could put a specific element in here. And when I get to the FAF, I'll show you how to do the conditional wildcards. So anyway, I look at the filters there. So I know it's Mississippi. I know it's the year. I need all the years. And I have the commodities. So now I take what's in this Mississippi 2 from the world, and if I wanted to, I can compare it back to the top commodity flows for the actual pair. So if I printed that out, I can compare Alabama to Mississippi, this sheet, top commodity flows to from Mississippi, back to the Mississippi flows to the world, and I could have done the search on the Alabama. And, well, the idea is sometimes you want to look, you find something that's in one chart, you say, okay, well, crude petroleum to Mississippi is a big flow. When you come back to Mississippi flows of the world, you can look at where that same flow is. So anyway, in domestic flows by year, the same thing. I just did domestic flows and made a comparison of that to total foreign flows. And so I can look at Canada foreign flows to Mississippi, Mississippi to and from to the foreign flows. Exports by year, again, this is just a thematic map where I took the commodities and I stacked the commodities into a table. So I'm going to just look at lumber and logs, manufactured goods, petroleum products. So, I don't know what to do. I mean, Cheryl, are you getting this? Basically, all these are done, and it's just simply once you figure out the structure, you just drag and drop as to what elements you want to look at.
Yes, I think so.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out.
I think if I understand correctly is when I'm doing this, I can go in and just change the filter to pick, instead of, for instance, the origin state name, edit the filter. Instead of picking Mississippi, I could pick Missouri, and it would modify whatever chart.
Right. Let me show you
a really. Pulled up for Missouri.
That's correct. Now, if you notice, I took Missouri. I'm highlighting all of these things on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
They're all white. And I go to filters. And I'm going to edit the filter. Actually, I'm going to apply this to all the worksheets. And I'm going to select the ones I want to modify. So we'll just do all. And then the filter is going to be, we're just going to do Missouri. Actually, we're going to do none because we have to clear the Mississippi stuff first.
Okay.
And then we just start and drag and drop. And then you put apply. And all of these records now in this whole data set are all tied to Missouri. Even though it says Mississippi in the heading, they're all Missouri.
That's we typed, right.
Except I don't know why this destination state shows up here. Unless I didn't clear.
Is there a data set for waterways so that instead of doing this by state, we could do it by waterway?
That was the other one I was trying to develop. I went and met with the Corps, and the problem is they have it at the waterway level, and they have the flows on the links, but I haven't been able to figure out a way to put the state file back against the Tableau stuff. So anyway, edit filter. I'm just going to get rid of all the Mississippi stuff. None. Missouri. I showed up. I'm going to apply. Okay. So there. So everything in this table now, Cheryl, is all Missouri stuff.
Okay.
And if I wanted to do the same thing with Louisiana, I'd just filter them all and type Louisiana as a filter.
Okay.
But you have to put it into the root directional to get, that was to make sure you got the inbound and the outbound included. Because if you just did inbound and you just did outbound, you added it together, you get the double counting. Okay. So you do the root, that way Louisiana to Louisiana from is included once and not double counted as twice. So basically, again, all these waterway sets have been built, and the dashboard is simply, I took two different flows and added them together. Now it says Mississippi. I can always go back and change it. I just click on it, and I want to format that and make it a little bit bigger. And because this is a dashboard, I actually have to modify it in the actual sheet and not in the dashboard. So that's, let me see, export by commodity by year. So here I actually have to type in, I still have Missouri, Mississippi up here.
Sheet or do
well, that's, you do.
Imports, exports.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I just realized is when I did the global filter on that particular data set, I had a Mississippi filter in it. If I do the back button, you'll see where the filter also had an origin state name of Mississippi. That's why when I went to the dashboard, that Mississippi file was still there. Even though I did a global filter on everything, the fact that there was still an origin state name that was Mississippi related, I remove it, and obviously it changes the data set here. So, you can look at imports. I'm just, and again, destination state, I'm going to remove that filter. And then we get to a dashboard. So here we have a dashboard of, this is Missouri trade, and we can look at coal, and we can look at how it's declined over time. We can look at how food has kind of increased of late by just simply clicking on the filters. And it's interesting that apparently sand and gravel is the only thing that really is moving on the Missouri River, Cheryl. I don't know if anything else is moving. I mean, I thought you had some other like pipes and stuff on that river system.
Oh, the non-metals?
Yeah, well, just as primary non-metals would be, it's very small, but most of it's sand and gravel.
Yeah, we have a couple of sand and gravel. The only thing moving on there right now is sand, gravel, and some grain.
So the idea is now you have a dashboard that I can print this out, or I can share it with somebody, or as you can tell, I can just sit there, point and click, and look at various trends in different dimensions. And then send to you a story. I go to story 1. And basically story 1 is I took a dashboard and I add a caption, and I'm going to call this total Missouri waterway traffic. And then if I want to add another dashboard to it, I just simply say, okay, I want to add it behind it. And now I've got another caption that I can add, Missouri intra-state movement, whatever. And I can make this as long as descriptive as I want. And so I could simply take this story and say, this is what this means, this is what this means, this is what this means, and I can build a story of both worksheets and dashboards to help, and I can write text to it so I can communicate that with somebody else. So
that's, I export those out like we did earlier? Can I
that's
export
correct.
The story out? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So the thing is one of the things that I like about Tableau, there's some things I keep asking them to fix. But I can come to print, and it says, you know, print is going to be your standard print this sheet, print that sheet, whatever. But there's also this print to PDF. So I go down to File, I go down to Print to PDF, and I can actually select certain